Oh, hey, Barbara. Hello. Hi, Sylvia. Hola, Silvia. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another live. We're going to have a good time today. It's Sunday. I hope you all guys all had a great week and also a great weekend. I hope it was filled with a lot of rest and blessings and you just had a really good week. Desde Puerto Rico, qué bueno. Yo siempre quería ir a Puerto Rico. I've always wanted to go to Puerto Rico. I don't know why I haven't went, but maybe I go this year. If I go to Puerto Rico, where should I go? But guys, welcome to another live. Once we get about 15 people in here, I'm going to start giving you some market updates onto what is going on in the real estate market. Everybody thinks the prices are crashing and falling, and I'm going to give you guys a little bit of insights into what is going on, and show you some live market statistics. Okay. But sounds good. We'll wait for 15 more people to come, or 7 more people to come, and we'll go ahead and get things rocking and rolling. Just curious if anybody who's joined, I'd love to know who you are, where you're from. If you can put it in the chat below, and yeah, let's chat. 2 people just left, so they're scared to. They're a little worried. So let's see. Pedro, how are you? Everything is going amazing, my friend. How are you doing, Pedro? Tasha, hello from Miami. Pedro from Queens, New York. Whoa. Pedro, is it still cold in Queens? Like, is it still cold in New York? Because it's starting to get a little bit warmer here in Florida. We're kind of getting into the summer. Today was a little chilly. It was like in the 70s. But yeah, let's see. Yes, it's still cold in New York. Okay. We're seniors. Is there any incentivos? Of course. For seniors, there are incentives. There are a few different type of incentives for seniors. You do Hometown Heroes has some incentives for seniors, but also you're going to have some incentives in terms of the Florida homestead tax exemption. Most of the time you can get up to 50% off the taxable value of your home with a homestead, but then you'll have some extra incentives that you can get as well, based off your age and income. There are some exceptions that you don't have to pay any taxes if you meet certain requirements for the homestead tax exemption, and one of them is about being a senior. Silvia, we love Ocala and lots of family over there. Well, Silvia, why aren't you in Ocala then? Your family's waiting for you. What part of Ocala do they live in? Let's see. It seems like it's going to be a quiet Sunday today. Everybody's relaxed. Everybody's hanging out. Barbara, you still here? Guys, if you have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat, and we'll get everything answered. And then I'll get into the market report in just a bit. Heard certain areas have tax incentives if they're looking to build up rural areas. So heard certain areas have tax incentives if they're looking to build up in rural areas. I think you're trying to say rural areas. If you're in a rural area, you have some USDA loans that you could utilize. But yeah, there's some incentives for seniors, but nothing too crazy besides the homestead exemptions that you can get. Sylvia, we have a house here and we like the area close to Daytona. Okay. Daytona's good. You're kind of in between Orlando and also Daytona. So you have a good amount of space there. Tasha Coakley, Can I ask a question? Is it a lot of inventory on 3-bed, 2-bath homes? Because I see you all post a lot of 4 bedrooms between the range of 13 to 1,500 square feet. So Tasha, that's a good question. It depends on where you're looking, right, about inventory. But right now we have about 7 months of supply of inventory. What does that mean? Months of supply, right? So months of supply means if we have 7 months of supply, it means if not one more home came on the market, it would take us 7 months to sell all the homes that are currently on the market. Now, a big indicator if we are in a buyer's market versus a seller's market is dependent on how much months of supply we have. So if we have under 5 months of supply, we are in a seller's market. If we are over 5 months of supply, then we are in a buyer's market. So I want you guys to understand that's going to be an important piece whenever you are looking at what kind of market are we in. Right now, we're in a buyer's market because we're over that 5 mark. So that's something really important to think about in terms of the 3-bed, 2-bath homes, 1,500 square feet. Yes, that is going to be something that we have a lot of supply in right now. That is something that it's a very common home. If you're looking in Ocala, yes, they're builders like Bacan Homes doing that. Perfect Deed Homes, one of my favorite builders in Ocala, which has a 3-bed, 2-bath, 1445 square foot home. Man, there are a lot of builders in that in that criteria. And they're typically priced between like 265 to 300. Barbara, I'm looking forward to seeing you in June as well. Pack your bags, get ready. We're gonna have a good time. Mostly around Marion Oaks. Yep, that's gonna be solid. Guys, give me 1 second. Some kids came to my house and they said for $10 they'll clean my car. So I need to go pay them real quick. All done? Yeah. Here. Thank you. You guys are quick. Yeah. You're on a tight ship. Yep, thank you. Have a good one. You too. I don't have time to go look at the car, but I trust them. Look at that. Young little entrepreneurs in the neighborhood. Love to see it. It's so good to see. That's like the old school way of making money when we were little kids. I used to sell mangoes on the side of the road. My mom had a huge mango. Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw the video, but my parents have a huge mango tree in their backyard. And I always used to go collect those mangoes and I would sell it to like this Arabic store on Orange Blossom Trail. I would, on Colonial, I'd have a mango stand saying selling fresh Venezuelan mangoes and I'd make like 15, $20 a day. And we had an abundance of mangoes, but it's good to see these little entrepreneurs. Que rico, we have lots of fruit here. Yo sé, like in Latin America, todo es muy natural ahí. When you were a kid, shoes shining was one way. That's amazing. That's amazing. It's so good to see because I feel like not many kids are out there hustling and but it's really good to see when they're out here trying to do something. Aguacates grandes. I'll tell you, I bought a house in Altamont Springs. I'll give you guys a little bit of insight. Um, I live kind of like in North Orlando. It's just a neighborhood I've always had an eye on, and it's homes don't really come on the market that often in this neighborhood. So when something came and it was a good price, I bought it right away. And the probably my favorite thing about this house is I have a good piece of land and I planted all avocado trees, mango trees, orange tree, and blueberry bush, blueberry what do you call it? Blueberries, yeah, and also tomatoes. Um so honestly, I'm so excited to get the fruit. But anyways, guys, enough about fruits and myself. I want to get you guys some solid information about what's going on in the market right now. Okay, so I'm actually going to share my screen. Give me 1 second here. I got to do a couple things to get to the point where I can share my screen. So, if you guys want to take a look at what's going on in Central Florida, this is a website you guys can take a look at. Okay. You guys essentially can go to Orlando Regional Realtor Association. This is going to have a Central Florida report every single month, typically on the 15th of the month. Okay. So if you're ever curious about real life statistics of what's going on, make sure to check it out. So let's take a look at the February statistics, and I'm going to zoom in here, and and I want you to take a look. Can everybody see my screen here? Please, someone give me a thumbs up or say yes in the chat so I can continue. Okay, sounds good. So, if you take a look, let's look at the right hand side first. You're going to have the year over year changes and then the month to month changes, right? In terms of inventory from January to February, 6.1% increase in inventory, right? In terms of new contracts, so homes that went under contract, we had a 12% increase. Okay. And that's going to be right over here. In terms of total pendings, we are going to have 20.7% increase from 3,320 to 4,006. But I want you to take a look at the average price home and also the median price home. But I kind of pay a little bit more attention to the average price. So from January, the average price home in Central Florida was 492,000. In February, it went down to $486,000. Now, I really want you guys to understand this. There was still a 20% increase in the amount of sales volume that was done from January to February. Now, these things there are a lot of variables here. It could be now maybe some of the luxury markets started selling a little bit more, but also, we had a lot more inventory that came into the market as well. Um, what I would say is the amount of months of supply went down. It went down by 12%. So what I was telling you was down here. Months of supply was 7.7 months. Now it's 6.7 months. Okay. Now, one big thing I want you guys to take a look at, and this is for everybody who's telling me, Renzo, the prices are going down. Renzo, the market's crashing. Renzo, last year was horrendous. I just want you to take a look at the left side year over year from February 2024 to February 2025. I want you to look at the average price. Do you see how much it went up from 2024 to 2025, the average price home? It went up 8.4%. The national average is 3 to 5% per year, right? This is Central Florida, of course. And this is all the homes that are going to be, a part of Orlando, the Orlando Realtor Association. But this is something that you really want to consider here is that home prices are still going up, even though interest rates are high. There's a lot of demand happening here in Florida, a lot of demand, right? Yes, inventory is going up. Inventory went up 44%. Inventory went up 44%, but the prices still went up 8% as well. So typically, if supply goes up, demand goes down, subjective to the amount that there is, and also in terms of supply. But even with an increase in inventory, we still saw a 8.4 increase and 15% less amount of closed sales. So this is something to kind of take a look at, and just really understand. Now, months of supply went up 71%. That is wild. So this is something to consider here, guys, as you're looking at the market and what's going on here in Central Florida, is that when people say, "Hey, our price is going to go down," I think temporarily there are going to be some maybe months out of the year that are better than buying than others. And the best time to get deals are going to be September, October, November, December, January, February, a little bit of March, April. And then if when you start going into April, May, June, July, August, that's when it's the hottest. That's where you're going to see the most growth happening in the market throughout the year. That's where if a nice property comes on the market, it's probably going to sell a little bit quicker because there's more buyers in the market. If interest rates do go down if interest rates do trickle down towards the middle of the year, then it's going to be even more interesting. It's going to be a hot summer market. I can remember the 2021 COVID market. Rates were down to like, I saw some people getting a 1%, 1.9 interest rate, and it was mayhem. It was almost impossible to get a house, regardless if you were a cash buyer. Like you had to go 20, 30, $40,000 over asking to get it. And it was just the facts of about what was going on. Now I do want to show you something else. Okay. So I'm going to open my Stellar MLS here. This is and this is da da da. I want to show you in the past 30 days, a lot of us are interested in Ocala. In terms of single family homes, in the past 30 days, there were 470 sales in Ocala in the past 30 days, which is quite a significant amount. And I want to show you what the average price in the past 30 days was here in Ocala. So I'm going to go all the way down. So the average price in Ocala, the average list price was 319,000, but the average sale price was 310,000. I don't think you guys can see my. Here we go. The average sale price in Ocala was $310,000 in the past 30 days. Something to take into consideration, something to really think about. Now, if I looked at from January to Feb, there were 387 sales. And then I'm going to pull up and the average price was 309,000. So, not that much change has happened in this month, but it went up a couple $100, the average sale price. But something to think about, guys, and we're going to keep giving you this valuable information. What if property taxes end in Florida? If it ends in Florida and not the whole country, then a lot of people are moving to Florida. And I'm expecting a buying frenzy. Truly. If property taxes end in Florida, people are saving an extra $3,000 per year for in taxes. Let's say you call that for the next 10 years, that's $30,000. For 30 years, that's $90,000. So people are going to be happy. If you have a night, like especially the luxury homes, like that's where I'm more interested, like homes in areas where taxes are $10,000 to $15,000 a year. Literally, you're talking a big amount of money that people are saving. So I think if it does happen, which I'm not entirely sure it will, but if it does happen, I expect a buying frenzy. That is a great question, Kenny. That is a great question. I'm curious, what do you think is going to happen if property taxes end in Florida? I'd really be preparing a lot of people that they'd be getting into the market, and it's going to really allow a lot of people to have a higher affordability factor. Because if you can save two, three, $400 a month in your payment, and also from in escrow, not having to pay property taxes, that's a big difference. That's like almost dropping the interest rate 1 to 3%, depending on how much your taxes are. Right. So it's going to have an effect where people are going to, it's going to allow affordability and more people back into the market. Excuse me. Pedro. Yeah. I think what would happen is I think they would increase the price of the dock stamp tax. Of when you buy or sell a property, you have a tax, because right now that is for when you don't have when you we don't have any income tax in the state of Florida, but the way we get our money, the Florida gets kind of some of their income, is a dock stamp tax. So every time you sell or buy a property, um, then essentially you pay a tax. Um, I'd be interested to see how it works. I'd be open to it. I'm open to change. Truthfully, whenever there is change, I'm excited because while a lot of people are fearful, I'm always looking to adapt. So it'd be an interesting opportunity, in my opinion. We went through COVID, we went through this rough period, and we did just fine. So I'd be interested. Taking from Peter to pay Paul. I wonder what's worse, property taxes or home insurance in Florida. So I'm curious, Kenny, how much do you think home insurance is in Ocala? And you brought up a good point, Kenny, about home insurance. And a lot of people ask me, Renzo, home insurance is so expensive. And I said, well, it just depends on where you are. If you're a mile from the beach, of course it's going to be uh, four, five, six, eight, seven, $8,000. Also, depending on the size and cost of your property. But for a lot of us who are interested in Ocala and Central Florida, even Orlando, um, a new construction home, 3 bed, 2 bath, 1,500 square feet. I've gotten rate quotes as low as $600 a year. So in Ocala, there's really low risk for insurance companies. Um, so insurance is really low in Ocala. In Orlando, it's moderate, especially when you're buying an older home. But if you're buying a newer home, 1,200 bucks a year, nothing too crazy. Now, if you're on the coast, if you're in South Florida, it gets up there. I mean, the thing is, a lot of homes in Florida are not built in flood zones, right? That's something builders do take a big have a big consideration in. Now, when you're on the coast, you're closer to big flood zones, right? But they do also grade the properties, make sure they're elevated, right? So I just want you guys to think for a second. Whenever a hurricane comes to Florida, yeah, there's damage here and there, but think about when a hurricane hits a state that isn't doesn't have an infrastructure built for hurricanes, like Louisiana, like North Carolina. um, they get hit way worse, and people's houses, fall apart way worse. So in Central Florida, I've lived here my whole life, and never had really anything major happen to any of my parents' home or my personal properties here in Central Florida. I see most of your videos. You say homeowner warranties are good for 30 years. Um, no. So typically you get a 210 warranty whenever you buy a property, Tasha. So a 210 warranty is a 2-year mechanical warranty and a 10-year structural warranty. So the 2-year mechanical is AC, fridge, washer, dryer, oven, microwave, um, anything mechanical that is helping run the house. Um, Also, and then the 10-year structural warranty is maybe any damage to the structure, the walls, the foundation has any deep cracks in it. Typically, with the foundation, if you can run a quarter, I think about half a foot, um, then that means that they need to repave that slab. Sometimes that happens in driveways. Where slab wasn't maybe poured correctly and they need to redo it. But in terms of 30-year, I don't really see 30-year homeowner warranties. Typically, it's a 210 home warranty with new construction. With resale homes, there's it's very uncommon to be utilizing home warranties. Guys, you are asking some amazing questions today. Does anybody have any more questions? I have to ask, is my buddy Keith Colgrove here? Sylvia, ¿por cuánto tiempo estás mirando mis videos? Well, guys, it's so good to see you. I really just wanted to show face and really be here for you guys and make sure I can answer any questions. It's been about 30 minutes. Today is going to be a short live. But if you have any final questions, please put it in the chat. Um, and and yeah, let's see. So okay, just all came in. I see. Now that that's what new construction. I'm talking about the rules. The rules. Please clarify a little bit more, Tasha. What do you mean by the rules? Are you talking about HOA rules, or rules on the home warranty? I've seen your video since the beginning, Pedro. I appreciate that. Um, I really do appreciate that. A lot of people don't realize how it took some time to build it up. Kenny, how about Tampa, Florida market for homes? Kenny, that's a great question. You know, we do work in Tampa, and Tampa's a really strong market. It's a really it's a healthy market. It's similar to Orlando. Um, I'd say a lot of young money is going to Tampa. There is a lot of wealth in Tampa. You're close to the beaches. It has a really good energy about it. Tampa is a really cool city. But in terms of insurance rates, it's going to be a little bit more. You really want to make sure your property is outside of a flood zone or it's really well elevated. So if there is a storm surge like we saw last year, you're not going to be heavily affected. But you know, guys, Tampa's up and running again. You know, Florida does a really good job at getting back on its feet when we get hit. We have the infrastructure for it. And like I mentioned, you know, we are very well prepared for hurricanes to come. You know, they said this last hurricane was the worst hurricane in the history of Florida, and we're up on our feet pretty quick. So it's not easy. Your hard work does not go unnoticed. Appreciate it, Pedro. The roof of the property. Uh, the roof of the property is going to be a part of your home insurance. Yes. Okay. But it's not going to be a part of your home warranty. Um, the the most roofs, you're going to have two types of roofs typically that new construction builders are utilizing. The first one is going to be the most common architectural shingle roof, can last 20 to 30 years, typically 30 years. And then you have a 3-tab shingle roof that DR Horton uses on some of their homes, and those last about 10 to 15 years. Um, so that's a great question. I have heard a 4-bedroom and 2-bath, big playground near everything. Oh, very nice. Silvia, I'm gonna come to Puerto Rico and just get what do you dance to in Puerto Rico? Que la música en Puerto Rico? What will your best pick are, Marion Oaks or Citrus Springs? Um, right now, Marion Oaks for sure. Well, also depends on what you're looking for, right? Marion Oaks is about to build 2 Publixes, a shopping center, some apartment complexes. Citrus Springs still has some work to do in terms of growth, but it's similar to Marion Oaks. I actually own a half-acre piece of land in Citrus Springs that I might build a house in the future, because there is a lot of opportunity there in Citrus Springs. But I think there is a little bit of time before Citrus Springs blows up like Marion Oaks did. Well, guys, that is it for today. Thank you so much for being here. I love you all so much. I'm going to be dropping 2 videos this upcoming week, so stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.